Okay, good morning, everybody, and very warm welcome to the first CoreShares showcase event. So I've got a fantastic panel lined up for us here today. Neil Sinclair from Glacier, Martin Rickett from Momentum, Ferdy Boyson from Old Mutual, Georgina Smith from Innate, Charles Britz from Wealthboard, and Razik Christians from PPS. Thank you all so much for making yourselves available for our session today. And a very warm welcome to everyone who's dialed in. I can see there's a few more just logging in. While we're waiting for those last few to log in, I'm going to end this poll. Thanks so much for sharing your thoughts with us and share the results. So most of the people who've dialed in, 87% already use a Lisp. And it's interesting here. Service and competitive fees are coming out as the most important. And in the third place, the top of the range tools. And lots of interest in other products. 24% say their Lisps have everything that they need. And quite a few of you are not using TFM. So thank you very much for sharing your feedback with us. So with that, at CoreShares, I'd just like to reiterate, we really appreciate the work that IFA has been doing in the environment that we've been in the last 2 years. It's been incredibly tough, I'm sure, to keep people invested. One thing that is for certain in our industry is that change is constant. And so I think we're just so grateful that we've got wonderful players in the market, like all of the investment platforms that are here today, that are so client-centric and continuously trying to make sure they, helping advisors and providing all the tools that you need. So yeah, once again, thank you so much to the lists who are here today. I know it might be a little bit uncomfortable pitching alongside your competitors, but I think that just shows exactly how dedicated you are to your clients and to make yourselves available today to share all the important tools on your platforms. So the session is scheduled for 1 hour. Each of the platforms are going to have up to 7 minutes to present, and I will give them a 6-minute warning when it's time to wrap up to make sure that we stay on track. There is a Q&A tool at the bottom of your Zoom webinar interface, so please feel free to pop questions in there as they come to mind, and then we will have time at the end to answer all of those. And then if any of these platforms speaking to you today have piqued your interest and you want them to get in touch and you have some more questions at the end of the session, there will be a survey that pops up in your browser when you log off, and you can just tick a box to say, which of these wonderful investment platforms you'd like to be in touch with after the event. So please, at the end, just look out for that survey. So with that, I am going to hand over to Neil Sinclair from Glacier and ask him to start with the first presentation. Thank you, Neil.
Thank you, Michelle, and thank you to CoreShares, and good morning to everyone and my fellow industry colleagues out there. So I've got 7 minutes. I'm going to try and get through this as quickly as possible, so without further ado. Okay, so yes, a brief history of Glacier. I'm not going to go into too much of this, but I really want to focus on 2 areas that were absolute game changers for Glacier. That was the launch of Glacier International back in 2010, and in 2016, Glacier became the custodian of all Sanlam single life investments. So once that happened, we were able to actually do some really creative and innovative product solutions that we could bring to market. So very brief history, 30 seconds. But really, this is just an overview of what the business looks like at the moment. So currently, assets under administration that we administrate, close to 360 billion. And then on the DFM side, through Glacier Invest, we've got close to 50 billion assets under management that we are custodians of. So that's just a really quick and brief overview on the history of Glacier and what's at stake, and then the assets under management. But now I'm really going to go through why we believe intermediaries support Glacier. And I think one of the most important critical factors here is that Glacier is an intermediated business. Everything that we do revolves around the intermediary, and supports the advice process that you as intermediaries go out there and to give the best advice and support to your clients. One of the pull factors for us is that we've got a massive product range, not only from LISP, but also products under the life license, under the Sanlam Life license. And what we do exceptionally well is we leverage these two different product sets to bring some very interesting and unique solutions to the market in terms of solutions and retirement planning and income planning and those kinds of things. And I'm going to give a very brief example of that at the end of the presentation. In underlying investment choice, we have a vast range of underlying investment choices that investors and intermediaries can bring access to. And in fact, through our DFM as well, we are starting to introduce alternative investments that retail investors never had access to in the past. Things like private equity, private debt, mezzanine debt, which we're starting to roll into solutions specifically in the post-retirement space. So we're starting to leverage off the balance sheet that Sanlam Life provides us to be able to bring these investments to retail investors. Tools, critically important in the advice process. We've got a number of tools that we use and we give to market. One of our more unique tools is where we can actually do planning across an income stream and compare different sets of income streams against one another. And there'll be a brief demonstration or example of this towards the end of our presentation. World-class administration, for me, this is not a competitive edge at all. You simply have to have world-class administration. This is a ticket to the game. So that means your administration needs to be on point, it needs to be accurate, and most importantly as well, when things go wrong, because they can go wrong, is that you as the intermediary and you as the client are able to get hold of someone, speak to someone, and those people are able to actually provide solutions to the problem that's arisen and fix it relatively quickly. Technology. I often feel that our administration business is turning into a technology business. We are constantly rolling out new technology, new ways of interacting with the business. I'll touch on a little bit of this a little bit later, but technology and disruption is something that our industry really has to grasp, and we believe at Glacier that we're doing this really, really well. Intermediary support, vast distribution network. We've got access to BDMs. There's the distribution network that we offer through Sanlam, whereby you as the intermediary, if you're new to the business, you can get hold of someone, they can take you through the business. There are various other portals that we use and that you have access to. The website's also meticulous from a support perspective. So there are all those things that we're innovating with to get access and to support you as the intermediary. And then one of the final points is around thought leadership. We don't only roll out product development and products and solutions and those kinds of things. We also like to bring industry experts in to share with our intermediaries around things like the psychology of retrenchment or the psychology of retirement, to touch on the softer issues that are present in the world of advice at the moment. They might not necessarily be product or price related, but there are certain things that we can bring to the market to help you in dispensing advice or dealing with clients that are going through massive life-changing events that we've experienced over the last 2 or 3 years. So this is just a case study. It's normally an hour-long case study, but I'm going to try and summarize it in about 30 seconds. What we really like to do with our solution set and with our tools, and these graphs are generated by some of the tools that we offer, is we really like to take our solution set and say, is there a different way where we can provide answers to the questions that you as intermediaries are looking to answer for your clients? Will your capital provide longevity from an income perspectability? Is there flexibility? Is there tax efficiency? And can you provide legacy? This is what I call an old traditional model, where you normally just take a living annuity and a discretionary investment and you blend them together to give the client that income. But really at Glacier, what you can give is a simple solution that takes care of all of those questions, and you can draw out the income for that client significantly longer than you would by just picking 1 or 2 products. By using a full solution set, you can actually cater and answer all those questions around longevity, flexibility, tax efficiency, and legacy.
Just from 1 minute left, Neil.
Yeah, I'm nearly there. I'm nearly there.
Okay.
Under pressure. Just from a technology perspective, these are the things that we offer you via our technology and through our web. You can do model and portfolio analysis. You can manage your client information quite easily. We've got straight through processing. If you don't want to utilize paper within your business, we've got the means of doing that. There's all sorts of customization around client reporting and proposals that you can put together. You can add your documents into that type of process if you want. And those are the things that we have available for you at Glacier, should you wish to be interested in chatting to us. And Michelle, believe it or not, that was quicker than when I practiced it. So I am done. Over to you.
Well done.
You will introduce Georgina, I suspect. But thank you for the opportunity. I truly appreciate it.
No, thank you, Neil. That was really great. And I can imagine it's a challenge to fit, all those functionality and history into 7 minutes. I appreciate it. Georgina Smith from Innate is next up.
Thanks, Michelle. Thanks very much. I'm just going to share my screen.
Okay, I'm going to go off now.
Hopefully you can all see that. Thanks very much, Michelle, and to CoreShares for the opportunity to speak to you today.
We don't have sound.
Ah, sorry. Let's go back a bit. Sorry about that. Well, now that I've got your attention, in a crowded environment, one always has to do something different to stand out. And as Innate, that's exactly what we have done and continue to do. I'm Georgina Smith, Head of Distribution and Client Servicing for Innate. And it's no secret that Innate is the butterfly that's now emerging from the chrysalis that has been the standard replatforming exercise. It's been challenging. It's diverted focus and development from our legacy platform. And perhaps we fell into the trap that most replatforming exercises overseas, where we were perhaps a bit overambitious in our timelines. But compared with our worldwide counterparts, Innate has actually delivered more and quicker than most other platform implementations. But why would a platform want to attempt changing the foundation of their technology? Well, from the Forbes survey in 2019, just 3 years ago, which would have been 2016 back then, a quarter of wealth managers believed digitization was essential for them to do business. And then by 2019, almost 7 out of 10 said that a virtual platform was an essential way to enhance the client experience. And of course, now post-COVID, that number has really only accelerated. But what's a platform of the future really like? What is the personality of that? And why would a platform even want to repurpose itself? And what's in it for you? Well, I'll tell you what's in it. In the UK, 8 years ago, PE multiples of advisor firms were sitting at around about 2 times. Fast forward 8 years, you've got RDR and you've got RDR clean, compliant platforms and a whole load of market replatforming. And what you found is that those PE ratios have actually moved up to 8 times. So let me just say that again. Those practices that have embraced technology, those practices that have embraced the digitization that's necessary with replatforming, they have actually quadrupled their value. So what is it? What is the platform personality that we have here? What have we built? What does it look like? Well, it's fully digital. As both local and offshore. And what's important here is that we were born digital. We didn't morph into digital. And on that note, there are no wet signatures. We didn't take wet signatures and make them digital. We actually got rid of them entirely. There's no rekeying. It's a complete waste of your time. We know that. And with that in mind, you only need 5 key pieces of information from your client to be able to put together an investment proposal. And both you and your client can upload documents to our secure portal, and that avoids unnecessary back and forth and cumbersome copier email requirements. So what are the client benefits for you to use our platform? Well, from 24/7 access and simple and intuitive web journeys to the easy to understand language of all our documents, the look and feel of Innate is great. The aggregated platform pricing, but not just any aggregated pricing. Your offshore assets contribute to your client's local pricing as well. And there's more innovation in the pricing world coming down the line as well. Same day fund pricing on switches and withdrawals, meaning that you and your client can be sure of what they're going to get. And it's possible for your client to be halfway around the world and ask you for a withdrawal and for it to be paid later that day. It's perfectly possible for that to happen. And importantly,
Georgina, sorry to interrupt. We're struggling to read your slides. I'm not really sure what's happened, but they're blurry. I don't know if you might want to just
reshare.
Yes, yeah, stop sharing and reshare. I think something's happened there.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's no problem.
I'll pause your timer.
Oh, thank you. How's that looking?
Oh, much better. Much better. Thank you.
I don't know why that happened, but thank you for stopping me.
All right.
And you stopped me on a really important point, Michelle, so thank you very much, because importantly, our big sister Liberty backs our life products. And unlike many other investment platforms at the moment, we have ample headroom for 100% allocation on our living annuity and endowment, meaning your client can choose where to put his money without restrictions. So what are the advisor benefits? Well, now it's not moving on. Here we go. Let's see if I can get, there we go. Well, as well as all the operational efficiencies that I spoke of earlier, here are some pretty compelling reasons for you to try Innate. First and foremost, we are done with replatforming. And that's really important. You know, other competitors out there and other incumbents are just starting that journey. You know, it's definitely a trend that's going to be sweeping through the South African platform market. And we're now in this phase where we are in a regular cadence of monthly feature drops, which just keep making our platform better and better. We fit into your compliance processes, so no signed app forms from your client, not even digital signatures. If your client instructs you by WhatsApp, that's fine by us. We're only one part of your ecosystem, and we know that. And we want the rest of your ecosystem to find it easy to work with us too. And our DFM and CAT2 model capability is world class. And one of the benefits of that is that our models can be traded at any time of the month. You're no longer restricted by old platform tech and cumbersome payment runs. And finally, most importantly, our servicing is second to none. My servicing team, you see, they sit in distribution. They're right at the front of the business. There's nowhere to hide there. And they're integral to the design, build, and implementation of Innate. They know this platform inside out and upside down, so you won't get 3 different answers to the same question. But not only that, once you start using Innate, they will take care of all your legacy standard business too. So it's a real 2-for-1 benefit. But you don't want to just take my word for it. Here's what some of our advisors are saying about our platform. And I know by now you'll be wanting to see what the platform looks like, so let me show you.
I met over Zoom with my Cape Town-based client this morning. After a quick
Georgina, sorry to stop you again, it's blurry again.
I decided it was time to
reshare for this last video.
Is it blurry, Michelle?
Yes, it has gone blurry again. Wouldn't you? This is your last bit, right? This video.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is the last bit.
Yeah, so let's just stop and reshare so that we don't lose the closing point.
Thank you so much. Okay. Oh, let me just pause it. There we go. Any better?
Perfect, yes. Thank you.
Okay, let's see how this goes.
I met over Zoom with my Cape Town-based client this morning. After a quick catch-up and chat about her finances, I decided it was time to load her onto the Innate platform. The platform allows me to easily create a prospect client by entering 5 key pieces of information into the system. Her email address becomes her unique identifier, and her ID number is used for verification purposes. Once she is added as a client, I create a quick quote through a simple process. First, I select the right product type for my client from the list available. In this case, we're going with an investment account. I've then chosen a lump sum contribution. but a recurring contribution or a transfer are also available options. Under asset allocation, I choose the funds or model portfolio. And it's really useful that each fund has its own set of information quick links that I can use to demonstrate to my client how a fund performs against others or a benchmark I have chosen. I then add a regular withdrawal amount and complete the process. The quick quote is automatically saved on the platform, and I share the investment proposal with my client for her to review. When my client gives me the go-ahead, I can resume the process and convert to new business. Innate is a registered trademark of Stanlib Wealth Management Pty Limited.
And this is the bit you really want to see, I'm sure.
You can leave your head on.
Thanks very much, and
Thank
thanks
you.
for sticking
so
with me
much.
during those
Thanks
tech,
so much,
during those tech
Georgina.
issues.
Okay, no, it was fantastic. And I would like to welcome Martin Rickert from Momentum. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Michelle. Please share my screen. There you go. So thank you very much for the opportunity to showcase the Momentum Wealth Local and our internationally Guernsey-based platform to you today. And I also want to spend the last few minutes just to share our plans to disrupt the South African market in the near future. A quick confession from my side: when we did the dry run just before the session, I noticed that my date is dated as 2011, and I thought that would be quite embarrassing if a technology provider is so from last decade. But at least we're back now in 2021, so let me kick off. So at Momentum Wealth, we truly believe in the value of financial advice. Our DNA is to deeply value our partnerships with our financial advisors, and we were built on trusted relationships with independent financial advisors, partnering to help their practices achieve success. Our Net Promoter Score, as measured in the September 2021 NMG survey by 150 independent financial advisors, has improved by 21% compared to 12 months ago. And we know service is important to all of you as advisors. You've indicated that in the poll up front as well. We, as a consequence, we've seen an increase in our new business support of almost 50% over the past year. If you haven't experienced what the buzz around our business turnaround is, please try us. For today, I want to cover only 4 aspects that I believe are important to you and your businesses. The first one is that we have a comprehensive local and international capability set that really allows you to best meet the needs of your clients. Our breadth of our local and international capability set is arguably the most comprehensive in the industry. We believe that our international platform proposition offers superior estate planning and tax advantages. Our multi-currency execution capabilities and highly competitive pricing structures also contribute to the overall package that our platform offers you and your practice. Our platform capabilities are complemented by our guaranteed or protected range of solutions that offer certainty and predictability to clients, an offering that has seen exponential growth over the last 2 to 3 years. We've also seen the rise of the DFM in the South African market, and our platform hosts most of the renowned DFMs in South Africa. In fact, it's through this offering that almost R500 million is invested with CoreShares through our DFM capabilities. The second part that I want to highlight is access to specialist support for you as advisors. Our national distribution footprint has recently been changed from a generalist model to 50 investment specialists, offering much more than just admin support. Our team of international platform experts in each region in South Africa and Australia, offering on-the-ground expertise and the ability to give advice where this is required. Our deal forum capabilities offer on-demand experts to support US partners on tax structuring, pricing negotiations, and product expertise for deals that exceed 10 million rand or $1 million. The third one is ease of use and enhancing our digital capabilities. We are investing deliberately to accelerate the digital transformation and service experience across all our platforms. This is important because it helps every financial advisor to give their clients a faster and more efficient service. The last aspect that I want to cover is the investment that we are making into the future. Now, unashamedly, the needs of financial advisors and the trends shaping advice models in South Africa and globally are key drivers of the Momentum Wealth business strategy. We recognize that you as financial advisors, partners demand more from platforms now than ever in the past. We also recognize that the role that platforms play has shifted materially over the past decade, and Momentum Wealth is investing to deliberately change the platform landscape in our country. Now, with this in mind, the Momentum Group is investing a significant amount of capital as part of our partnership with global technology and wealth management experts, FNZ. The purpose of this investment is to, number one, offer superior technology that has been tested by more than 20,000 financial advisors internationally, and that is supporting some of the fastest growing platforms in the UK. We want to accelerate our platform transformation to become the most automated and fully digital platform solution in South Africa. It will also offer the ability to offer end-to-end platform integration opportunities to advice practices to eradicate administration frustrations, provide seamless client onboarding, and remove delays for advisors as well as clients. So really, to summarize, Momentum Investments and Momentum Wealth is the best choice today and in the future because we offer comprehensive local and international capabilities. We provide specialist support on the ground for you every day. We increasingly easy to use and simpler digital capabilities and a committed investment into the longer term. As we build our platform of the future, we are placing our financial advisors at the core of our design. It is our commitment to make sure that by choosing us, you as advisors will experience a trusted and personal partnership for the long term. And I didn't even need a 1 minute call. So Michelle, that is me really in a nutshell. Thank you very much again for this opportunity.
Thank you, Martin. Very impressive. Thank you so much. So next up, we have Ferdy Boyson from Old Mutual. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Michelle and the CoreShares team, and good morning, everyone. I'm just going to share my screen quickly. It's a privilege to connect with all of you this morning, and hopefully I can provide you with an holistic overview of what Old Mutual Wealth can offer your practice and your clients. If there's one slide that I'd like you to walk away with today, it's really this one, which is a summary of our proposition to the IFA market. Now, IFAs can contract with us in a number of different ways. Use us as an administrative platform, which is the focus of today, or enter into a partnership with us where we can actually build specialist capabilities around your practice to help you grow and become future fit. On the platform side, we have the local platform, the Old Mutual Wealth list. We've got Old Mutual International, Old Mutual Unit Trust, and then also private client securities. So these are all available locally and internationally, and they've been in the market for quite some time, so they tried and tested. On the fund side, we've got a comprehensive range of unit trust funds, local, international, internal managers, and obviously a host of external fund managers. We've got life funds that's produced by our life company. We've got market-leading smooth bonus funds, fixed bonds, our own DFM capability called tailored fund portfolios, as well as model portfolios from the major DFMs out in the market. And then on the asset management side, as I said, we've got a host of asset managers that we host on the local and international platforms. We have on our open fund range, we have about 95 funds. That's a pretty stable fund range. And then we've got a restricted fund range that we make available to DFM and financial planning groups. On the local platform side, we've got a team of developers that work in a sort of an agile development fashion, and they basically will release new features to market pretty much every 2 months or so. And they're a dedicated capability across our advice tools, across the platform, our planner portal, and our client portal. We also have an Old Mutual Wealth app that really makes the approval of business quite easy for your clients. Just a quick overview of our fund range. So we have basically 3 tiers of funds on the open fund range. To start off, we've got our strategy fund solutions that are really designed to deliver on personal investment targets for your clients. Then we have a target range of funds, both internal and external funds that have been mapped to real return targets, and an extended fund range that really focuses on more specialist sort of investment mandates. This is underpinned by all the traditional investment vehicles. And then from a pricing perspective, we actually have a non-traditional approach to pricing, where we actually have a Rand maximum to our administration fee structure. There's also a minimum fee of 131 Rand. And that Rand maximum is basically spread across all your clients' holdings. And if there's family contracts, the family contracts are also taken into account for that maximum fee. It kicks in at around 2.3 million Rand. I think what sets us apart in the market is really sort of the people that we have that support our various capabilities and that can support your practice to actually become a better financial planner or to help grow your practice through practice management. So on the wealth management side, we've got a range of fiduciary specialists, portfolio managers, offshore specialists, investment and fund specialists, and then the research and investment team. On the financial planning side, we were first to market with financial planning coaching. We've got financial planning coaches pretty much in all the provinces, and they can teach you everything you need to know about our advice tools, and also, goal setting with clients, coaching clients in terms of their financial outcomes, needs, and wants. There's a training track for IFA specifically designed to onboard them into what we call integrated wealth planning. So you're welcome to contact me if you want to hear more. And then lastly, we've got our business management services offering. We've got business coaches that actually come into your practice. They help you to segment your client base, become more profitable, and actually implement the various range of digital technologies that we make available to your practice. So this is just an overview of the different advice tools that we offer to the market. We've got the Wealth Integrator, that's our flagship financial planning tool. And as I said, we've continuously enhanced the tool. We've made some major changes to it over the last 2 years based on the feedback from IFAs. And we really believe that it's making a real difference out to client outcomes. Then we've got the personal goal planner tool, and then also a range of single goal tools that you can use for education, savings, or retirement. So that pretty much wraps up my overview, whirlwind overview of Old Mutual Wealth. I think we continue to innovate. We've got a wonderful team that actually sits behind all of these solutions to support you. And yeah, you're welcome to contact us if you want to find out more. Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you so much, Ferdy. That was a great overview. Appreciate it. So next up, we have Razik Christians from PPS.
There we go. Thanks so much, Michelle. And thanks for the opportunity to actually just showcase our abilities very briefly. So just for me, I'm going to kick off with a little history about Pps Investments, or PPS holistically. Now we're not moving. Here we go. So as a business, we're actually celebrating our 80th birthday at the moment. Been around for quite a while, which is good to hear. Very simple structure. Company started 80 years ago by a collection of dentists who actually just needed somebody to help subsidize when they actually couldn't manage to work. And that basically kicked off our SPPI cover, a product that's still very synonymous in the market at the moment. But the brilliant thing about the business was that it kicked off as a mutual, as many did back in the day. But that's the ethos that we still maintain, being one of the only mutuals in the business in the country at the moment. That particular ethos of member for member is something that we still drive. And the benefit of that is actually that we don't have any shareholders dictating to us what we need to do. So it allows us to be able to actually give all of our profits that we make purely back to our member in form of a profit share account. And I think the great thing about that, it gives us it creates a business that is 100% member focused, but completely advisor led. So it's not a direct component at all. We always intermediated and we drive that to make sure that our members are advised in the correct manner for all of the different product suites. I think we wrap up why we exist. Very clearly, it's on the risk side, obviously, to pay valid claims and ultimately to create wealth for our members. And that's something that we managed to do quite nicely over the years by creating plenty of millionaires via our profit share accounts, those that have vested already, and plenty of multimillionaires that still need to vest. So it's a business that's constantly growing and doing extremely well. Just a little bit about our platform in particular. So Pps Investments started in 2007 in the heart of the financial crisis. I suppose not the best time to start a business, but we've grown very nicely since then, sitting on just over 50 billion assets with about 45,000 investors on our platform. Talking about the platform itself, I suppose, we talk product suites. Platforms generally have all the same products, pre, post-retirement, things like that. We talk about the different funds available on our platform as well. We run a complete open architecture structure. So besides having our own multi-manager as well, who do phenomenally well, and there's more profit earning components for those members, we obviously run absolutely everybody else that you need on the platform. We also have DFM capabilities as well as internal and external DFMs. That's all loaded. And obviously loading those managers creates a world of potential other managers to be linked to any advisor if need be. Offshore capacity as well is definitely not a problem on our side, being linked to an insurance company. As Inek mentioned earlier, the need for offshore capacity in living annuity is something that is very topical at the moment. Profit share, earning profit share, it's a big drive in our world with our members and our clients. Something you'll obviously get investing with the Pps Investments platform. And then our secure site, this is something that's built in a very agile space. So we're constantly updating and enhancing this particular product. It has all the different calculators that you can need from a pre and post-retirement component, helps link in with your advice process, great with practice management tools as well, and obviously straight through processing, making life pretty simple and easy depending on how you need to do business. One of the things we realize is that you can't just move into one direction or stay in an old direction. You need to accommodate for both with clients nowadays. So we are able to actually be quite flexible with regards to how you need to be able to manage a particular client. And then our platform fee structure is very straightforward and simple. We have a sliding scale. First 1.5 million is 50 basis points. On the next 3.5 million, 20 basis points. Anything after that is 10. But that's our platform in a nutshell. I think one of the things that actually differentiates us from a lot of other places are the little added features that we do actually have as a group and in our business. So one of the things people don't actually know is that on our platform, it's not just based for members. So one of the great stuff is that we realize that a lot of members would like to have their spouses and other family members invested there as well. We created the concept called linking. So you are able to actually bring your non-member spouse or family member over onto the platform to be able to link that in their investment value to you, and you'll be able to earn profit share off that holistic value instead, which obviously boosts what you can earn as a member. And one of the other things that was launched last year was something called the Cross Holdings Booster. And this is obviously a group initiative where if you have an insurance product, for example, and you now have you add your investment product to that, you can then actually increase your profit share allocation by 15% for that year. And obviously, if you add a third one on, you can increase it by 22%. And if you actually make use of all four, you could actually boost that allocation by 27.5% for the year. And one of the great things is if you look at the different type of companies that there are for you as an individual, as a normal client, certain insurance products, short-term products, investment products, and medical aid products with ProfMed are all basic requirements. And being able to actually earn extra on top of all of that really adds a lot of value to the actual member. And I think one of the big things that we focus on that we've also launched recently is our family network structure. I always refer to this as our investing.
1 minute warning, Razik.
Thanks. Our investing bulk and save slide ultimately means you get to pull all the information together and you are able to then take advantage of the administration fee. I think the best way to actually show this is by showing you an example. So this is really one particular member that would be invested on our platform with 3.9 million rand worth of assets, normal fee being about 14,000 rand. But just because the rest of the family, the spouse, the son, daughter, in-laws, all that particular investments are all then bulked together, just from an administration cost perspective, you'll see there's a massive saving. But because of using the linking component as well, you're able to actually additionally add more profit share into your pot, and then obviously make use of the cross holdings booster. And just that on its own would give you an increased saving holistically of about 23,000 a year, as well as be able to boost your profit share by 17,000 rand a year. And you'll see that just from the investment from the member alone, being able to calculate what her profit share pot would ultimately look like when she retires in about 30 years' time, she'd already just from the investment side be getting about a 1.6 million rand profit share portion. So that in a nutshell is really what our platform's about. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Razik. Very, very interesting. And now we have Charles Brits from Wealthboard, our last presenter of today. So please feel free to pop your questions into the Q&A tool as they come to mind. Thank you, Charles.
Thanks, Michelle. Thanks for the opportunity to allow us to showcase what Wealthboard can do for financial advisors. Excuse me. So obviously, why Wealthboard, I think, is a good place to start. And I suppose very few people know too much about Wealthboard, and that's not always a bad thing. So for us, we're a wholly owned subsidiary of the Teleshore Investment Holdings Group. This is the largest privately held financial services group in South Africa and has over 120 billion market cap. Wealthboard as a business is truly independent. We have no distribution agreements with any asset management company or DFM. In fact, we don't even have our own funds. That is up to the financial advisors to select. Unit trusts, ETFs, model portfolios, structured products, and hedge funds, all available on a single platform, and all of these products available in one client portfolio. And I'll show you a little bit later with some snapshots on our proposals or our quoting tools, how you're able to do that. The other thing we're able to do is load category 2 advisors and DFMs with model portfolios on our platform. And that entitles you as the financial advisor or the clients to have more than one model portfolio allowed on a single portfolio. And the beauty of building these models is that we can host pure passive models or blended, which is obviously a combination of both active and passive on our platform. Just in terms of pricing and breadth of offering, obviously pricing pretty much standard off the shelf, 40 basis points on the first 3 million, 30 basis points thereafter. Any rebates that are passed, that are received by Wealthboard are passed on to the client. And this is reflected in a reduced platform fee, which the client will see on their statements. But we're not rigid about this approach. Bespoke options are available. Our whole philosophy is looking to partner with financial advisors, partner with FSPs, and help grow our businesses together. To date, we do have a number of options available, but again, those are tailor-made for specific FSPs after quite a robust discussion as to kind of the commercials around that. In terms of breadth of offering, again, unit trusts, we have SLAs with probably the majority of the mancos out there. We don't have 10,000 funds to choose from. We kind of, and I'll allude to this a little bit later, we have probably currently 250 funds that are utilized by financial advisors. We do an audit on an annual basis and close down the funds that are not being supported, or rather we just close them down to open business, to new business. Any ETFs that are listed on the JSE can be purchased through our platform, giving you the widest choice and variety available. We host hedge funds in the retail space. Also structured products, alternative investments, with and without assessed loss in an endowment wrapper is available. This is available for discretionary investments, but also in the living annuity space. A large portion of our business in the living annuity space gets an allocation to living annuities. And through that, we've partnered with the likes of ABSA, Investec, and busy concluding some deals with RMB and now BNP Paribas. Our offshore partner is Swiss Quote. So we do have offshore capabilities, which focuses on obviously open architecture, but focusing primarily on the ETF side. And my last point here is that I said driven by financial advisors. We won't dictate what can and can't be utilized to a financial advisor. If a financial advisor comes to us and asks for a specific fund to be hosted, we're more than happy to chat through it, and make those funds available. But certainly we're open for discussion on all of the above. From an operational features and tools perspective, and I've got some snapshots of a couple of these points, which I'll go through briefly. So obviously financial advisor, complete dashboard overview of what his or her products look like, and in terms of assets under management, full client holdings, market value reports, both offshore and local reporting on a single screen, which we find quite helpful. 5 planning tools in the event there's some goal-based planning that needs to take place, retirement shortfalls, etc. We're certainly not a financial planning business. We're not a financial planning tools. We just provide some simple tools which will make advice easier for financial advisors. And if that's not for you and a client wants to do a quick quote because they know exactly how much money they want to spend on a retirement annuity, a tax-free saving, or a discretionary investment, we have that capacity available as well. Integrated Reg 28 calculators, so you can see as you're doing your allocations whether your portfolio composition meets Reg 28 regulations and is compliant, and if not, it will be highlighted and you can make the necessary adjustments on the screen. As I said, you can combine unit trusts, ETFs, and model portfolios on a single portfolio, and also the ability to add cover letters or advice notes on the actual proposals. From a client perspective, again, dashboard overview, summary and detailed investment statements, historical tax, annual tax certificates, and also the ability to provide provisional tax certificates for your client. Coming soon, we're quite excited. The last 11 months, we've been working quite vigorously at reshaping a few of our front end stuff, and probably, well, hopefully by first quarter next year, thanks Michelle, we'll have straight through online processing from a client and financial advisor through emails and OTPs. Just from a financial advisor perspective, like I said, a quick snapshot of what their total assets under management would be, broken down per product for financial advisors. And you can see local and offshore opportunities here to be able to highlight what investments you have where. Simple plan and quote. This is obviously just 2 of the tools that we have available: future value and premium required tools. Retirement gap, being able to show what the retirement, what the actual capital available at retirement is, and what what is needed is, gives you an upsell opportunity. So there's a retirement shortfall here, 4,500. This will pull through to the proposal, and obviously if the client can't afford that, you're able to easily adjust it into a premium that the client can afford. As we mentioned earlier, you can mix unit trusts, ETFs, and model portfolios. You can see here some of the CoreShares funds, unit trusts, some of the ETFs, and model portfolios. And you can see that when this was done, it was compliant. If not, you could click on a little button here and have a look at where your allocations are at and make the necessary adjustments. Michelle, I'm almost finished. From a client perspective, as I mentioned, total offshore portfolio and local. You can just highlight from a reporting perspective on what the client wants, asset allocation, and obviously performance over the same period, both local and offshore. So Michelle, with that, I want to say thank you very much, and let's open the floor to some questions.
Thank you very much, Charles. Yeah, no, I do appreciate that everybody's been under time pressure, and it is a short amount of time to make the point. That's why we call it a speed dating event. So yeah, very. And on that point, I just want to remind everybody who's dialed in, when you leave the webinar today, then please look out for the survey that pops up in your browser. You will have the opportunity to just tick a box next to any of these platforms that you'd like to be in touch with, and also send us any comments or feedback on the event then. But yeah, with that, let's open the floor to questions. Yeah, I do want to encourage you to take this opportunity to put some questions in the Q&A tool. It's a great way to ask, perhaps the same question to all of these experts all at once. Quite a few questions about recording. Yes, the session is being recorded. You will get an email, I think a day or two after the event today with a link to the recording. And you're welcome to share it with colleagues or anyone else who you think might have enjoyed the session. Okay, so Georgie, I've got a question here for you. When you kicked off the quote example, you were saying it was sales driven, and sort of in an advice world, how does that work? And then at the sort of second question, which I think maybe follows on from that, do LISPs require sales targets to be delivered to the IFAs to ensure support, or can an IFA service his book driven by advice without sales pressures?
Okay, so what I'd say there is, when you come onto a platform, you assume that the advice process has taken place already, whether it's in the advisor's own FNA tool that they prefer. And actually, that's where the future of platforms is going, is not to design its own your own advice process for the advisor, but actually to integrate in and build data feeds and APIs into the FNA tools that the advisor is using. So in terms of, is it sales driven? It's absolutely advice driven, but the assumption is that the advice has been properly given up front, and then you come into the platform. And in terms of do we have sales targets for financial advisors? Well, our business is built on experience, so it's all about the client experience, the advisor experience, the technology experience, everything about it hopefully means that you enjoy using our platform. And with that, when I see and meet advisors out there, I don't see them saying, I want more platforms and more diversity in platforms. In fact, I hear them saying, I want fewer platforms, and I want to really come into a partnership with those platforms. 2 is plenty. So actually they're the conversations that I'm having. And with those partnerships, of course, you get the benefit for the advisor, but you also get the benefit for the platform as well. So I think it's a symbiotic relationship, really.
I don't know if anybody else wants to add. Feel free to jump in.
Yeah, if I can, Michelle, thank you. And Georgina, correct. I think gone are the days of expecting financial advisors to give you business based on what you can offer them. I mean, already there's 7 platforms available here. I mean, there are a number of other platforms out there as well. But I know certainly in our space, especially considering we've only been around for 8 years versus the 80 of PPS and the likes of the standards, etc., or N8s. I suppose initially guys are pretty apprehensive about a new platform, and I think, like Georgina said, we want to partner with guys, and hence the open architecture and our fund choice driven by financial advisors. We're certainly not going to come to you at the end of a year and say, listen, you've dipped your toe in the water, is it lukewarm yet, are you going up to your knee, etc., etc. We want to partner with financial advisors. So from our perspective, it's certainly not sales driven, and we're not going to wrap you over the knuckles come December and ask you to close your code because you haven't supported our business.
That's reassuring.
Michelle, if I can also just add a second there on our side, our market is mainly professionals, and we know that not all advisors actually only look after professional clients. So in our world as well, it's never been a you have to give us so much flows. Obviously, that's never been the case. We have plenty of advisors that would like to service the existing clients and have a different way of doing certain things. They've always been able to do that. I don't think as a business, it doesn't necessarily make sense to want to dictate to advisors what you need to give in order to get any kind of access to a platform or service your client. So in our world, that'll never ever be taken away as well. I think that it depends on the different types of service offerings you want. Those are different things that you can get, and that's dependent on the advisor and how much he wants to integrate with your product and your business and your brand. But I think that having access to all of our systems and servicing clients will be something that will always be available to them.
Razik, while we've got you, there's a question here on PPS specifically. Considering the profit share option, how sticky does it make your client retention versus churn of clients to other platforms?
So profit share is something that I think clients as I said, for 8 years has always been thought of as some degree as, pot of gold at the end of the rainbow for particular members. And they would go out and buy houses and cars and boats and funny, interesting things. Life has changed so drastically nowadays where people are integrating that particular bit of assets that they've accumulated. And I think the advice process is growing so strongly as well, where advisors are actually taking that particular money and advising clients better on how to use it in their post-retirement space. And with all of the different components that we're actually able to offer and things like we're bringing up pretty soon, which is things like paying your premiums for your short-term or your risk products out of your vested profit share. That's the kind of products that we're launching in the new year. It all integrates that whole service offering that our members want and how to actually better use our platform. So retention, yes, it's actually growing quite strongly in the post-retirement space. And as I say, profit share is not something that we ever want to stop a client from taking, because it's his money that he's earned, his profit that he's earned for, and to do it as he pleases. We're just glad, at least if he's using it responsibly. Like I say, we're a business that tries to do right by our members, and we tap with the advisors that can help us get that done.
Thank you. So here's a general question. I don't know who, I'm so glad someone else asked this question, because it's definitely a question I wanted to ask, but an update on Etf accessibility. So yeah, obviously Charles did tell us that on Wealthboard you can use ETFs no problem. I don't know if anybody else wants to jump in.
Yeah, I'll give it a shot. So basically we've got ETFs loaded on the platform. However, if there is an ETF that you're looking for that's not on the platform, you can go via a custodian and buy the ETF on both the local platform and on the offshore platform. So there is a wide range of underlying investment choices, and I'm sure, especially in the offshore space, there is a myriad of, I suppose, exotic ETFs that you can go and access. Like I said, they're loaded locally without having to use a custodian. But if there is something like, for argument's sake, an oil ETF that someone wants access to, you can buy it through a custodian. So ETFs are there and are available.
That's great.
Yeah, maybe to echo Michelle, we offer ETFs via our private client security offering, the stockbroking offering, as well as on our international platform.
Okay, that's fantastic.
Yeah, I can mention the same. So we also have ETF available both on our local as well as our offshore platforms. And similar to Fari's comment, through our Momentum Securities, our stockbroking offering, we also allow ETFs as part of our model portfolios on the international platform, because it's certainly a trend that we've seen in the DFM space. I think one of the speakers today mentioned that, and developing something similar on the local platform, because we see the need for that increasing, to include that as part of model portfolios in the DFM space.
On our side as well, something we're actually adding in 22, lots of demand in our institutional space for ETFs. So that'll be obviously linked into our platform as well. So it's something we'll be introducing in the near future.
And last but not least, we're busy developing for unitized ones, and as the demand grows for those, we can add more on. Obviously, we've got CoreShares too, so yeah. Good to see you on there. But yeah, look, as Innate grows, it's going to become a real cornerstone in the investment market, and we expect to see a lot more development in that area coming forward.
So it sounds like firmly on the agenda in either, live already or in production for all of the platforms. So that's really encouraging. Here's another question. If a client came with their own well-researched range of local and global funds that they have sourced, most likely neither of these platforms, I suppose any other. So I suppose the question is here, how accommodating are each of these platforms to clients coming with their own funds that are not necessarily on the platform or on your sort of respective shopping lists? I don't know if he wants to sort of take his tab or maybe go around the table on this.
Interesting question. We would much prefer the advice process, the fund and the product and the solution to be driven by the advice process. But that being said, we're never going to turn away an investor who's done his due diligence, has done his research, wants to access the platform. We'll never turn that customer away. Once they're onboarded, they will have the full access to Glacier within the website and can manage the investment accordingly, which I think is very similar for a lot of the guys here as well.
100% agreed, Neil.
Okay, so I suppose you're saying then they sort of opt out and say that person would say take the due diligence onus onto themselves and have to sort of commit and say that they're comfortable that they're operating outside of your recommended list. Okay, so I do notice that we've gone over the 12 noon mark, and there are a few more questions here. The panelists did tell me that they're available to stay on for a few more minutes. So for those of you who are still waiting for your answers to the questions, if you are available to hang around for another 5-10 minutes, we will get through all of those. And for everybody else who has to jump off, just again, thank you so much for your time. Please look out for the survey at the end. That's going to pop up in your browser. And yeah, it's just been so great having these wonderful experts from all these investment platforms to take the time to be here. I must say it makes me and the team at CoreShares feel like our investors who are, using these platforms as a point of sale are in really good hands. So yeah, for those of you who are still staying on, I will keep on with the questions here. So for you, Ferdy, oh no, sorry, this is for Charles. Are old mutual funds available on the Wealthboard platform?
So there are some funds available, Michelle, and again, we, to be honest, we actually host some of Ashburton's models on our platform as well for specific FSPs, and we do the likes of Momentum, et cetera. So, and again, if it doesn't mean that if the fund is not available on the platform, it's not loaded. It just means that it's not open to new business for a specific reason, and we can certainly look at opening it again.
So it sounds like perhaps this person should get in touch with you with the specific funds they're looking for, and you can check the list. And yeah, okay. So I think this is a general question to everyone. For the respective platforms, can you cater to quarterly priced funds? Anyone?
I can comment. So we definitely on local as well as our offshore platforms have certain funds that don't always trade daily. I do think the world is moving more and more to a daily traded fund though. But yes, there are certain platforms, including ours, that can deal with non-daily traded funds.
Okay. Do any of you offer direct to consumer services? And if not, why not?
Maybe.
Georgina, yeah.
Oh.
Go, Georgina.
Okay. No, we're very much an intermediated platform. The advisor is king in our world. We really want to partner with advisors and look after them and build something that works for them. And that's why they've been so integral in the build of our platform. Our platform is absolutely not a D2C platform.
Yeah, maybe to add, I think we also an intermediated business. We do have a client portal with full transactability that an IFA can make available to their client base. For instance, if the client wants to manage a portion of their wealth on their own, we see some cases of that. But yeah, we certainly have client transactability available. If you're appointed as the financial advisor on the contracts, you'll have full line of sight then of any transactions that are done by the client themselves.
Would it be fair to say that if it's not just a question of your technology making it available, but wouldn't you go into a whole different sort of compliance world if you were making your offering available direct to the end consumer? And that's sort of why it's such a specialized thing. And because in our industry, we are so heavily regulated. So that would sort of involve, if you were just allowing end consumers to choose their own funds and invest without an advisor, would that sort of require a whole different set of compliance? Or
I think we're heading into the sort of robo-advice territory.
yeah.
So yeah, we certainly haven't embarked on it. But yeah, I mean, clients can obviously decide to place money wherever they want to. All the unit trusts are published, in the papers. So in the end, it's a client choice whether they want an advisor, whether they want to actually manage their own affairs.
Michelle, even, on our side, we developed a robo-advice tool, and we've actually placed it in the hands of advisors. So where an advisor can actually make use of this robo-advice tool and send out to clients if they want to actually transact on their own. I mean, we help structure all the different things that they need, follow the entire compliance process, make it nice and simple and easy for the advisor to actually potentially grow his base and, send it on to the kids of the investors potentially would prefer to do certain options directly themselves. But it's a 100% reactive process. If any client comes to us, there is no direct push at all from our side, because we 100% agree advice-led process is best for any of our investors.
Okay, no, that's helpful. Thank you. Another question asking about do any of the platforms, how do these platforms integrate product-specific training, and do you provide any training support? So I definitely remember lots of comments about training in the presentation, so I don't know who wants to kick that off.
Okay, I'll give it. Compliance question, I'll kind of take it, and everyone can kick off from there. PSTs are, and I would presume with all the other platforms, are digitalized, so you can access that PST online via those providers. There is training material that is provided for those PSTs, and within our distribution, there is sales support or training support to get through those PSTs. Unfortunately, I would imagine PSTs have become a bane of our existence, but they're part of the regulation. There's something that definitely needs to be done. So we try and make it as easy to access and as simple to do as possible.
I can maybe add, we've got, from a platform perspective, a whole range of online training modules that new staff in your practice can access. And then similarly, we've got a online training track on the advice tools that we make available.
Yeah, if I may, Michelle, I mean, first and foremost, it's just really important that people and advisors using our platform are well versed. I mean, our platform is incredibly intuitive. And I think but all advisors go through an onboarding session there. Now, when it comes to product specific training, it's something we have done in the past. I believe it's being looked at now again. But it's, we've been full out, making sure our platform works and looks really good and gives a great client and advisor experience. So it's something that has been on our radar in the past, and hopefully coming forward it will be as well.
Thank you. So I'm of course not surprised that we couldn't get through a session without a question on crypto assets. But there is a question here. Do any of you have any crypto assets on the platforms now, or any plans? I don't know if anyone wants to comment on that. I'm personally not a fan of things that are not regulated. But yeah, anyone want to jump in on that?
No, not in the truest sense of crypto. Pricing and daily pricing and pricing within the platform's an issue, but I'm pretty sure that one of the larger investment houses are going to bring out a crypto ETF, which if there is an ETF and that can specifically be traded, any of the platforms that are able to run custodians or access to a custodian, you would then be able to advise your advisor, if he deems it necessary, to go and invest in that ETF that buys crypto.
Yeah, I mean, Michelle, we're also, there's been some interest from third parties in terms of putting a specific fund on our platform. we're busy looking into it, you know, from a regulation perspective, etc. But certainly we do have the capacity to be able to run, you know, like Neil said, an ETF, you know, on the platform.
I'm going to take a slightly different angle on this one, Michelle. I think, you know, crypto, we don't have any crypto assets on the platform, but interestingly enough, with the tech and the tech platforms that are, you know, the sort of tech we've implemented, and of course, having all the expertise across the group, you know, the technology that crypto sits on, particularly when you think about blockchain, I think is a really interesting technology, and it's something that I think platforms will, you know, start to sit up and take notice of. In fact, we've got a pilot going in another part of our group, looking at the blockchain technology and how that can be utilized in the investment space. So I think watch this space on crypto, but for me, it's much more interesting the technology that it sits on as opposed to the actual asset itself at the moment.
Absolutely. And yeah, I'm sure we'll have plenty of applications for that in our industry going forward. Okay. A question about the minimum investment levels for accessing offshore. So South African investors have been accused of being too exposed to SA, agreeably due to retirement capital. The reality is most do not have the entry-level investment minimums required to invest offshore. So, you know, could you comment on, you know, the minimums to invest offshore on the platforms?
We have no minimum.
100,000 Rand. There you go, 100,000 Rand.
We don't even have one. We have a minimum fee, but we don't have a minimum investment. So, and in actual fact, you know, I saw a question come up about, you know, wanting to invest, I think, 250 Rand a month offshore. I mean, look, the whys and wherefores as to whether that's a good idea or not sit with the advisor, I suppose. But actually, you know, our offshore platform has some brilliant capability in that you can make a regular investment through our offshore platform. So you can, you know, do that on a monthly basis. So there's some really nice functionality there as well.
And also the platforms you mentioned that they do support ETFs. Of course, you know, the minimum transactions for ETFs tend to be one share, you know, in the market. So that, again, should be an accessible way to get offshore exposure.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe just a quick comment, there's different ways to get offshore exposure. So a true offshore Guernsey-based platform will typically have higher minimums, but you can also get non-ZAR exposure via our local platforms, naturally with a much lower minimum than the Guernsey-based or equivalent platforms.
Okay, two more questions. So thank you so much for staying on to just make sure everybody got answers to the questions that they have. I don't want to be tied to live platforms, but only wealth platforms only with Momentum, Old Mutual, and Glacier. Okay, I'm not sure if I understand this question. I will read that again quietly while I ask the next one.
Let me give a stab at that.
Okay.
So to my fellow colleagues that have life licenses linked to their businesses, Mutual, Momentum, PPS, I think what the insinuation is, you know, we don't want to be linked with a life business, but I do think there are some tremendous advantages that the likes of our business can bring, and some of that is in the solution set. So, for example, some platforms can't utilize a Section 10A exemption in tax planning for income, whereas a life license company can. So I think you need to have a look at all the solutions that all the company offers, and where the advice dictates the solution needs to go is what you can do. And I do think that if a life company leverages their balance sheet in weird and wonderful ways, there's some fantastic solutions that actually can be generated due to that balance sheet. So I challenge the assertion that only investment linked companies is what you want to be a part of. I think you need to look at the entire breadth of the industry, and all providers provide a solution in some way, shape, or form to fit in somewhere with your advice process.
A comment coming through: life funds are typically quite untransparent and cannot be compared with unit trusts across the industry. This is a key reason. So I don't know if anyone wants to comment on that.
I can understand if they talk about life funds, Michelle. that is very different to having a investment platform that is 100% transparent, but associated or built off of a life company. I mean, it's using all the benefits of what you have of a life company, just providing it with complete transparency. So in actual fact, a platform's a platform. If you're comparing apples with apples, it's not comparing a life-driven platform versus a normal investment platform. So I think maybe the clarity there is not.
I'd also like to add, and maybe for Fatty's sake, but you know, the smooth bonus type portfolios provide a very different role in a post-retirement space than what a unit trust can do. So there are times when a solution like that will work for you. So there is always a space potentially for a life-based type solution. Don't just discount it just on the cost. Essentially, you need to look at the return you may potentially get after the cost, because price is what you pay, value is what you get.
I was going to go there as well, Neil. Thanks for picking it up. I think another aspect is basically the whole sort of fees versus commissions discussion. So, you know, on the list platforms, you know, typically there's no commissions that are paid by the product provider. It's advice fees that are negotiated between client and planner. And I think most of us operate in that way. So,
thank you so much. Georgina, a question about the relationship between innate and invest.
I think they mean one invest, I should think.
Yes, sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, I mean, that's the wonderful thing about having a big brother and a big sister, and in such a big in such a group as ours. You know, we've got Standard Bank and Liberty. One Invest is, you know, we've got they're a fund provider. We've got their funds on our platform, and we work closely with them. You know, I've also been involved in some of their webinars and panel discussions. You know, they do some great stuff, and they've got some award-winning stuff going on there. So, so yeah, that's the relationship. We're part of a big happy family.
Thank you. Okay, so just a comment here, just to say it's really encouraging to hear that the IFAs will not be burdened with targets or minimum business requirements, because it is your service and performance that will convince and motivate me to place business on your platform. So thanks for answering that question so nicely earlier to all of you. One last question for Razik. PPSI tells us the profit share account is effectively a paid up endowment policy at retirement as long as it stays with PPSI. Is this true?
Yes, that is correct. So your profit share is paid out into what is termed as a vested profit share account, and the structure of that is basically a continued endowment product. So it's 100% accessible, tax-free in the hands of the investor. When he does do withdrawals, would like to access the money. That is a particular structure that we have there, and all his profits, as he continues to earn profits, will then still be added into that particular profit share pool that he has there in that vested capacity. Very nice to have beneficiary options, all of those great things. Obviously does have a tax benefit. So yes, that is 100% correct. I mean, obviously, like any continued endowment, the minute you move that money, you lose that ability. So correct, it would only be available on our platform to be able to have it in that type of structure.
So well done. We've reached the end of, Oh yes, just some thank yous coming through. And one thing from each that differentiates the platform from the other. I think that we hopefully covered that in the presentations. So thanks again to everybody who dialed in, and especially a really big thank you to the panelists for taking the time to answer all our questions and to be here today. We really appreciate it. And we will, I guess, all be in touch afterwards once we see who's asked for further communications.
Thanks so much, Michelle.
Thank you very much. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Cheers, everyone.